The biggest issue I see facing young learners today is essentially control and agency over their learning. With education moving so drastically between, say, digital, classroom, what is tertiary education going to look like? The kids who know how to control and own their own learning, those are going to be the ones that succeed. So getting those skills embedded in them is a big issue of focus for us. For educators, it's almost similar, but slightly tangential. For educators, I see the biggest issue being agency of their craft, of owning that space of teaching again and saying, okay, nobody teaches like we teach. Nobody spends as much time or energy teaching than we do, which means we're experts. So getting them the agency, the sense of purpose and ability to get them to step back up into their profession and stop looking outside for answers, owning that space once again. One of the big issues we have with the current education system is that a lot of people think it's completely broken. And the big topic now is to just wholesale change. Let's go pure digital, or let's go pure this. Just scrap whatever we've been doing. I think it's important to recognize that education isn't broken. It's about, I always say about 90% of it is totally fine and right on track. The only thing we need to change and work with is this extra 10%. As the world changes, it's not about changing everything we've been doing for the last century. It's about simply adding these extra pieces to it, which will then shift the entirety of what's going on. So don't need to change your whole practice. Just add, tweak, move on the edges, and that's what's going to be effective. Assessment as a whole, the quantification of learning, is the one tool that we continue to use that has never served anyone well. Putting a value on somebody's knowledge and then ranking that value against other people's knowledge has no bearing in the world outside of getting government funding and sorting kids for colleges and jobs. So that tool of assessment, it's been around since 1793, has never been an effective learning tool. Yet it's a tool we keep using in the classroom. So of all the things that we've been doing for hundreds of years, that's the one thing that I always look at and go, do you know why you're assessing? And if that purpose, if your why isn't embedded in that test, then why the heck are you giving that test? When it comes to programs of resilience and, say, mindset and mental health almost to a T, the biggest problem is the focus on the individual. This concept that, okay, we're gonna have a resilience class. Period 1 is gonna be resilience, and then we're gonna go back to doing things as normal. These types of skills you can't simply teach. Teaching is step 1, sure, but then what you have to do is embed them contextually in the rest of the school. And pretty much every program I know so far says, we're gonna teach it, and then we'll see you later. And that's the big mistake. Neuroplasticity as a concept is very important because it gives people control over their own thoughts and behaviors. I think there's a mistaken assumption out there that people have certain skills embedded, they're born certain ways, they can do this, but they can't do that. And what plasticity says is, nope, it's all available all the time. Once you know that you're driving this machine, then you get to start making the choices you want. Everything is on the table after that. I think a big mistake some people make is they assume that once I focus on and nail mindset, that now everyone's gonna be a good learner. And that's just not how this works. You need to not only teach mindset and then embed it, but you also have to teach and embed learning. The two work together. Mindset without learning is dead. Learning without mindset is empty. So how do we bring the two together? And that's what I like about this program. The science of learning is one of those core foundations that we've known for a long time, but just for whatever reason hasn't cracked through the walls of school. We know that there's a very specific path human beings follow when they learn. People have different preferences, people like different things, but everyone goes through the same learning trajectory. And once you know that trajectory and you can start to align your past with it, think back to the last thing you learned and you start to go, oh, it was just a pattern, it was just a process. Know that pattern and process, and all of a sudden you can own that stuff. Get the right mindset, apply it to the science of learning process, and you're in charge. I think what sets ThinkPlus apart and what makes it so effective is that it doesn't focus on any one of these aspects. I think there is mindset programs. I think you'll find a resilience program, a brain program, a learning program. And unless you have the time and effort to try and tie all that stuff together, they're all just empty programs. ThinkPlus takes all of those concepts and brings them into a unified thing that's useful and that you can apply quickly and easily, ideally, in your room. So it doesn't leave anything really to chance. It ticks as many boxes as it can to give it back to you so you can do what you do best as a teacher. To make programs like this work, I think the wrong approach is to take this kind of top-down approach where, hey, the principal says we're doing this year, and then it's hoisted upon everyone else and they just have to kind of do it. For these kind of programs to work, they have to be bottom-up. It has to be at the level of the teachers, working with them, getting their input, tweaking it to their unique circumstances so that they have a sense of ownership over this. The more they see it working in their own practice, the more it starts to flourish beyond their own classroom, and all of a sudden you have a school that's a ThinkPlus school by completely natural means. It wasn't just directed, today we're ThinkPlus. It's embedded, we are ThinkPlus. Having been in education for about 20 years myself, I know how annoying it can be for teachers to have all these new programs and ideas thrown at you. It seems like every time you turn around, here's a new thing we're gonna be doing. So there's naturally gonna be resistance amongst teachers. The one thing that I can say about this program as opposed to others is it doesn't really require a lot of change. What I always say is once you learn this foundational stuff, you realize that's what you've been doing forever. This is your day-to-day job. All you're doing is getting ownership of the expertise you already have. So whereas a lot of programs say change X, change Y, change Z, do this differently, this says, no, you're probably doing it just fine. I just want to give you more ownership over why you're doing it and how to do it better for yourself.